It's about giving soul to your strategy. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make him very welcome from Anecdote, Mark Schenk.
Great, thank you very much, Brett. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. So, being abstract is another big challenge that we've got when we're communicating strategy. Another one is a thing called the curse of knowledge, and you will have all come across this at some stage in your careers many times. This is the situation where you explain something perfectly clearly and the audience completely don't get it. And you go, what's wrong with you? That's completely clear. And generally it's not because they're dumb, it's because the curse of knowledge just kicked in. It's the expert's disease. Curse of knowledge essentially says, when you know something, it's almost impossible to imagine what it's like to not know it. Right? And so you communicate it based on a whole bunch of assumptions about what people understand, and they just don't get it. The reason I'm raising the curse of knowledge here is that I mentioned the importance of why, and in the aged care sector, there is a very strong why, but we shouldn't assume that people know it. Now, the curse of knowledge is it's very interesting. A lady called Elizabeth Newton, who was studying at Stanford in 1990, got her PhD for getting people, groups of students in theatres like this, and selecting people from the audience and asking them to come to the front of the room and tap out songs. Right, so tapping. And she would record the percentage of the audience that the tapper thought would correctly identify the song. And of course, then she recorded who in the audience actually identified the song. And what she noticed was there was a strong pattern. That the people doing the tapping, they thought that 50% on average would get the song correct. In reality, it was only 2.5%. There's a huge gap between what the communicator expects to happen and what the audience is receiving. Right? And so often this is called the curse of knowledge. And so I just want to do a little test. I'm going to tap out a song. You all know this song. It's very relevant to our theme tonight. All right, here we go. Anyone? Sing it out. Didn't hear it? Oh! I love that song, but it's totally not it. All right, so just in the groups that you're with, the people near you, just turn to them, tap out a song on your knee.
Can we hear it one more time? Yeah, come on, be fair.
Oh no, I totally will do it again, just for you. All right, but after everyone else has had a go. So just go to the people next to you, tap out a song on your knee, see if they can guess what it is. Whose song was correctly identified? Hands proud. Jingle Bells, I know it was Jingle Bells down the front. All right. So not many correctly identified it. Now, when I ask people after doing this, how did you feel when the song that you tapped out wasn't correctly identified? Frustrated, surprised, like, what's wrong with you? That is the curse of knowledge, right? Because what's happening is that in your head there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, but the messages that the listener's receiving is thin. Now, what's happening is that in my head I've got the lyrics, I've got the music, I've got the images of the stage and the audience, I've got the images of Bjorn and Benny in the back playing their guitars, and that unforgettable image of Anna and Agneta back to back in the jumpsuits doing the Mamma Mia. Right? All of that's in my head, but all that's coming out for the audience is taps. Same thing applies when we communicate strategy. We communicate it in ways that assume people know things that they simply don't know. And therefore, our messages miss, and we get, as leaders, we get frustrated and we go, what's wrong with you people? Right. Now, fortunately, there are answers to doing this. Right? There are ways to overcome this. And one of the things is you tell a story. You convert your strategy into a story, and this clarity story pattern, we use this all the time to demonstrate how strategies can be turned into a story. Now, it's a very simple thing. In the past, we were like this. Good things happen, not so good things happen. We learned a lot. But then something happened. There was a change. There was a turning point. There was a new CEO, a GFC, a new government, change of government policy, a piece of research, a decision. But something happened that's provided us with a challenge. And then the third panel is essentially your strategy. So as a result, our response to this challenge is to do X and Y and Z. 3 or 4 things, not 20. And if we do it really well, we're going to be like this in the future. So all of us can do this, by the way. This is just totally a learnable thing about how to convert a strategy into a story. Everything about storytelling in business is about building your credibility and authenticity, being more concrete, memorable, and should never be about made up. With that, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Thank you, Mark Schenk from Anecdote, ladies and gentlemen.
I loved it. I'm the co-chair of this year's conference, and our theme was to reframe the future. I've had fantastic feedback from all our attendees about Mark and his presentation on storytelling. The Twitter feed went wild during the presentation. There was, clapping. The audience was so engaged. And as a conference co-chair and organiser, it was such a big relief to hear the audience react in that way. So many people are already talking about what they're going to do when they get back to their office and the stories that they're going to workshop in their own organisation. So thanks very much, Anecdote.
Really enjoyed the presentation. It was really great to understand the clarity structure, the very simple points, and to be able to take that, I think, back to the firm and sort of apply that particularly to our partners and EDs. I think will be a valuable thing.
Well, it was one of the best sessions. It was just really kind of it was invigorating, and it was refreshing. Kind of, it was just that. Bringing it back to kind of its simple concept that you just...
Best session, definitely, certainly the objective of the session to be able to tell stories, emotion, and take away a very simple message probably showed in that fact that I think it was the best session thus far, because it did what it was meant to achieve.